We're speaking with Debbie Melville Beecham. Gosh, I met you on your 18th birthday.
I know, we go way back.
Do you have any idea who invented surf forecasting?
Walter Munk. Yeah, for sure. Right here at Scripps. So Walter Munk just turned 100 years old, and he was the first guy to track swells that were churning down in the southern hemi, and he would have like little radio contacts in these little islands all the way across the Pacific. And between his little radio contacts, they would follow, oh, the waves are big today, and then it would go to Guam, and then it would go to Hawaii, and then it would go to the West Coast. And he was like, oh, well, that's the same swell. It must be, and this was back probably before the World War II, because he was actually asked by the government to forecast for the Normandy invasion. So Walter Munk, big famous hero here in La Jolla. We love the guy. And he then shared that information in science, and Sean Collins and all those people who were coming after him, used his basic information and then expanded. So, yeah, so we can blame Walter.
Let's talk about you.
So this is Jim Kempton. Jim Kempton was the editor of Surfer Magazine and the publisher of Surfer Magazine for a while, and the man who gave me my break when he published my first story in Surfer. But Jim, who invented surf forecasting? How did that come about?
So I believe that Walter Munk might have been the guy that was the first one, and what I remember most about him was that he knew it so well that in World War II when they were going to land on Normandy, they actually asked him to tell them about what the tides were going to be like so that they could have 50,000 guys land without crashing. And sure enough, man, he picked the day. He picked D-Day as June 6th because of Walter Munk. He picked it, and he picked the time they were going to land it because that was when those guys were going to be able to get in safely.
That's an amazing story, but it's also led to 50,000 people surfing Malibu on a swell.
That's right. And that came a little later, but, it was bound to happen, right? If they saw those guys having fun, they decided they'd do it themselves.
What's the name Walter Munk mean to you?
Is a famous scientist from Scripps Institute, and he was doing some studies on the canals in Venice, and we talked to him once about getting rid of the wakes from boats on the Venice Canal, and that was probably about 20 years ago or something like that. But the wakes were actually eating away at the foundations of the buildings surrounding, lining the canal. But so we did that many years ago, and I think it's still a problem. So, but he was going over there doing a lot of research on the decay of the architecture from acid rain and all that kind of stuff. So he was very interested in capturing the sculpture before it decays, because it is decaying, from environmental problems.
Many years ago, I wrote this little card called the Surface Code Card, and millions of people have seen it. And one of the lines is that all surfers are joined by one ocean. And I really feel that that's a metaphor for life, that we're all connected. And I now speak to hundreds of thousands of people a year about connectivity, about how, even though we're all different, the ocean is a unifying force and how it connects us all together.
Do you know who the father of surf forecasting is?
Yes, I do. Walter, yeah. And he's a legend down here. I mean, he was involved in the D-Day invasion, helping forecast so the landing craft could get onto the beach during D-Day. And amazing guy. And then now surfers are using his forecasting techniques to create websites and just make our lives a lot easier.